today's essay is entitled Natural Born Killers. I was reading about Mayor-elect Mamdani and the team that he's assembling to take on the city of New York, and was inspired to think about the U.S. Constitution, as exciting as that sounds, specifically Article 2, Section 1, Chapter 5, that speaks to the requirement that any candidate for U.S. president or vice president has to be a natural born citizen of the United States. I remember many, many years ago that people were um, uh, what accounted for buzz in the media, which is nothing like today's world, but Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold was born in Austria, of course, and became the California governor, and many would argue served with great distinction and effectiveness, and is just a delightful character in our universe. And of course, uh, absent changes in amendment to the Constitution, Arnold, of course, couldn't become United States president. But Mayor Mamdani, who is not yet Mayor Mamdani, he is mayor-elect, is such a delightful breath of fresh air in our world with a great deal of negativity and bad acts by bad actors on repeat, that we would all almost be less than human to not dream of better days. And uh, Barack Obama, yes, he was not born in Africa. Breaking news. I'm sorry if that is contrary to what you were taught in your southern madrasas. But he was of course born here. He is term limited, and the illustrious former president is not coming back. His beautiful wife Michelle has stated in so many words that perhaps America is not quite ready for her, which I think is her polite way of saying that she's not prepared to expend the amount of energy, bandwidth, and positive soul that it would require for her to endure a campaign where we still have some pretty substantial problems with racism in this country. If you just arrived, uh, still some issues. They are, of course, stoked by a Republican Party who, on a daily basis, does not miss an opportunity to add fuel to at least what is a simmering fire every day, one way or another. Supreme Court, Voting Rights Act, not a good thing. That's the last leg of the stool of the Voting Rights Act that is still in place. It's rickety, and the Supreme Court has all but said that they're going to either eliminate or substantially limit that one remaining component. We will learn more about that and hear more about that as as the year goes on. The Calais case, it'll be discussed in context of redistricting in Texas, in California. Apologize for background noise, but I'm taking the opportunity to be sitting outside well north of Boston one day before Thanksgiving, and it's 60 degrees. So I'm going to be out here until the snow is packing the camera lens on my iPhone. So you will see this again. I will have probably snow in the background, but um, these days, every opportunity we have to enjoy what I'm enjoying right now, which is a setting sun with wood smoke in the air, noise of various animals, including my four-legged assassin, who is about to tell me it's time to go out for a walk. So enjoy this time with your family. If you are partaking in the murder of a once innocent turkey. Yes. So to wrap up on the opportunity to elect a gentleman who hasn't yet taken over as mayor of New York, will he be a legal candidate for the presidency of the United States in 4 years' time? I would do anything I could possibly do to add that to the list of the constitutional amendments, whether it's Mamdani or not. But we are at a critical time in the country where plenty needs to be done as far as, oh, though not per stirpes, but uh, representation that matches the population in the country, representation that matches the ethnicity in the country. Do states that have 12 people living there deserve two senators, while Texas, California, New York also have two? That is not appropriate levels of representation in the way that the founders saw it and designed the Constitution. They could not have understood population shifts 250 years in the future. We need to make some changes. The best way to do it, not easy, constitutional convention, state by state, delegates. What do you need? What are you for? What are you against? Put it all together. Can we find one, two, three, four issues that we can get two-thirds, three-quarters, a substantial number of Americans to agree on? Some things will be contrary to self-interest. But if we are Americans and we support our democratic system, our rule of law, which is taking a daily beating, then we should want to fix it because we want it to be strong for us, as little time as some of us have, for our beautiful children, grandchildren, even the ones that aren't so beautiful. They deserve equal representation. They deserve rule of law, and they deserve a country that can take care of them because the country has the obligation and the capacity to do so. Yesterday, I was on my single payer system bandwagon. Not for everybody. That's not a constitutional issue. But we need consensus. We need broad consensus on complicated issues. And whether you may have gathered that I am not a MAGA hat wearing Republican. I have voted for a Republican, but his name was Ronald Reagan, and it was more than a couple years ago. It was in the '80s, obviously. So, and that was except for a dalliance with a delightful Massachusetts governor named Bill Weld. That was my last vote for a Republican in my life. I'm just putting that out there to be transparent and sort of level set, as the kids like to say these days. So you know that I'm not trying to misrepresent the fact that I have views, political positions and views. But whatever those are, it would not interfere with my desire to make positive change that will help everyone in the country, every citizen in the country, and the other people that aren't quite citizens, the ones that are being assaulted on a daily basis in American cities, the people that are being harmed, families that are being ripped apart. Not a constitutional issue. Now, is it an issue that the Supreme Court could address after making the biggest and most consequential own goal in the last 50 years with Trump v. US and the expansion of executive power? They'll have a chance. It'll be before them again. Hopefully, it'll be before 13 or 15 of them instead of 9. And we can get some sort of parity, because right now that's not what we have. So I got a little bit off of my Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 5 ideas, dreaming of a candidate that is not a natural born citizen. But there are a lot of great examples. There are people that you see that win Nobel Prizes in physics, and great authors and mathematicians and um, economists and brilliant people that come from other places. And the framework that was floated by uh, Senator Orrin Hatch, that only left this earth a few years ago, if you recall, the great senator from Utah, a Mormon gentleman, devout, intellectually honest, and a loving human being, because his parents taught him well, and his religion taught him well, and he practiced what he preached. Need more of the practice what you preach thing right now on the Republican side, but that isn't a judgment thing. I'll just blame uh, DJT for inciting silly behavior. If distortion in the background, that is a train passing by our small village. Yes. So, with a final thought or two, think about people that have earned the right to run for president. I understand what the Constitution says, but that, as you probably have read, was written a good deal of a good number of years ago. I could imagine Zoran Mamdani. Maybe he's not your guy. That's fine. Arnold Schwarzenegger, only a year younger than our current president. He's probably 2 years younger. I think Arnold's 78. Arnold's probably looking to do fun things, ride his horses and do what Arnold does, just be magnificent and fun. And maybe he'll be back, but maybe in another capacity or in another realm sometime in the future. But there are certainly people that emigrate to the country and live virtuous lives, raise a family, contribute to society, contribute to their church and their community. And wouldn't it be fair to modify that Article 2 doctrine to say instead somebody who has been a naturalized citizen for 20 years, and the other provision that is an original part of the Constitution is and has been a resident for at least 14 years. So somebody that comes and then goes surfing in Bali for 30 years can't come back the next on a day and say I'm ready to go. No, we want people that will have be fully committed to the promise of America. People that have been residents for 14 years, that have been legal citizens for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Take your pick. That's what constitutional conventions can do. Is we can discuss those things, we can expand it, we can narrow it, and we can make a change or two, a more representative government. How does the census affect the number uh, of members of Congress? How does the census on every write it into the document? Then every 50 years, we reassess the number of senators. So, or it's more difficult because it's right now it's 100 bodies. So does DC deserve a senator? Not for me to decide. And to be honest, I haven't given that a great deal of thought. But I do think that a state like North Dakota doesn't necessarily deserve more fulsome representation than a state like Texas. It's worth arguing about, or at least discussing, and then realigning the individual representatives in a way that is more closely tied to the census in a racially neutral manner. How is it adjusted every 10 years? And then we can probably dispense with this silliness that we are fighting with in Texas and in California, and redistricting, because we can set a system that is straight math. Math, as you know, is undefeated. I think it was a great scientist, or maybe Michael Jordan, that said that. We can make it easier to understand, more fair, and then forget about it and move on to the next problem. And then everybody's treated equitably, and we can write that up as a victory. And I think the idea of getting together, I know our representatives could be doing this for us on a regular basis, but they're not. They're not. We need to kind of a clean sweep in that department, so that if we had some structure that allowed or mandated state constitutional congresses that included or were dominated by citizens as opposed to elected representatives on maybe every 10 years opposite the census, meaning every 5 years the convention, and then the next 5 years later, since whatever, 10 and 10 split down the middle. We could solve a lot more problems, have a lot more buy-in from individual citizens, and we could, in the process, we could start talking with one another again, communicating with people directly, face to face, that we have differences with, but we know we'll be doing it on a regular basis, not through X, Twitter, TikTok, Blue Sky, or take your weapon of choice. But but I was on X recently, just seeing how liberal voices are being suppressed, while more conservative and inflammatory voices are being elevated in a very dramatic way. I'm I am not an influencer, but just seeing the statistics, which is wonderful. One of the wonderful things AI can do for you now is give you instant access to statistics that were harder to come by. Um, in any case, I think I've probably beat this horse, unless you're a fan of horses, which I am because I was watching them from in Hong Kong early this morning. If you hadn't, if you're given to prayer, say a prayer for the residents of the new territories in Hong Kong today, because a fire that I think it started about 3 a.m. Eastern time in the US was one of the more devastating things. It brought home Thanksgiving and family, and loving your kids and your wife, your spouse, your partner, your frenemy, whomever. It looked like a 1970s, not to make light of it, uh, uh, bad disaster movie where fire is below the residents. It, of course, it reminded me of 9/11, because that's our watershed. If you're a 60-year-old person like myself, that you know, 9/11 is the watershed, and for people a little bit older, it was perhaps in rapid succession, reverse order, uh, assassination of RFK, MLK, and then jumping back a few years to JFK. But the scenes from Hong Kong today were just they were they left me speechless, and that is not a condition that I suffer from frequently. So say a prayer or have a good thought, however you manage such grace in your life, because they need it, and you can provide it. And then you can say grace with your family tomorrow, and give thanks for living in what is still the greatest country in the world, with warts and all. And uh, do your part. Collective action. Do a small thing each and every day. What I do with my much better half is discuss major purchases, even medium level purchases, on a daily basis, to say, Target? No. Amazon? Probably not. Are there alternative? Are there alternatives? Yes. Are we all slaves? Excuse the expression, to one day delivery. I was in that camp too. I am no longer because we made a decision to make sure our dollars and nickels and no longer pennies go to companies that deserve them. So, in any case, this is the guy that promised to sign off 3 times in one video essay. That's me. That's the guy that did that. And for if you're having trouble going to sleep tonight, I would uh, I would commend to your attention Article 2, Section 1, Paragraph 5, and just think about it. It's a pleasant thought. It's not gunboats in the Caribbean. It's not innocent fishermen or innocent fishermen and people selling cocaine to support their families getting murdered. They deserve to be, if they're selling cocaine, the Coast Guard is great. They're very well trained and they have a process and they apprehend people, they arrest them, and then they bring them in front of a jury of their peers, convict them, and put them away. That's the way it is in the Constitution. It's the way that the case law interprets the Constitution to operate. It's the way that the courts more frequently now the what they call the inferior courts, the district courts, where that are the federal district courts that are doing the lion's share of the heavy lifting. God bless each and every one of them. And yeah, that'll do. I'll have something maybe on Thanksgiving, maybe the next day. I enjoy doing the video uh, essays, particularly as AI controls much more of our lives. Excuse me. We will be inundated by content that is created by AI. No shade against the bots, unless they're part of Team Elon, but that's just me. Excuse me. That's just the world. That's just the world. I was writing a little bit today about an article in maybe The Economist that said recruiters, hiring agents having a hard time because people are using AI to unfairly game the system when they're applying for jobs. Breaking news. They're applying to jobs to earn money to feed their families. And for years, employers have been using AI to give resumes that people put a lot of hope in and time in preparing when they submit them, and they're pre-sorted by AI and they never get to meet a human. Turnabout is fair play. Deal with it. Design a better mousetrap. Design a better mousetrap. That's yeah, that's a 100-year-old. Yeah, that's an old expression. But instead of complaining, HR, hiring agents, I was in that business I am still in that business for decades. AI helps, and it takes away some of the interpersonal joy of the business. But it's not good or bad. It just is. Deal with it. My good friend, child, applying to colleges. Is it fair that certain applicants are using AI to write their essays when others are doing it the quote unquote honest way? Fair question. I would say see above. As the admissions department at the universities, you need to come up with a better idea. You need to, perhaps, everything that was once a written essay is now a video essay, or preferably a live essay, a presentation. Because in the world where people are, AI is writing the content, I want to express myself as myself. I'm not reading a script. I don't have a scroll on my screen. And my eyes are so horrible. If I had a scroll on my screen, I could not see it. So there's AI for you today. Hasn't helped my vision, but there's still time. Okay, so you're applying, and the rules say don't use AI in preparing an essay. AI runs your Google search engine. Google pre-sorts much of the data that you could find otherwise. So you're suggesting that the students go back to the library? Wonderful place. When I was in law school, there was a discipline that required you to do your research using you can't go on Westlaw. You have to go to the tomes or tombs, maybe it felt like. Good discipline. It's a productive learning experience. But that was then. Law firms are axing junior talent at an alarming rate because AI can now do what many legal secretaries could, and even uh, very junior attorneys. Law is a little bit different as far as the complexity, but AI will catch up, just as it does with creating content. That's why when you see something that I've written, it's usually um, an absurdist take on a somewhat common challenge, because the world we're living in, again, if you just arrived, enjoy your stay and look around a little bit. Things are a little bit fucked up, but but no less exciting for all that. You need to laugh yourself. You need to have an original take on the current events. And most importantly, the people that are doing what they're doing at 1600 Penn and other places in Washington, D.C., what they're doing to our fellow citizens and to Americans in general. One thing that you're going to need to do on a daily basis for your own sanity, you need to laugh a little bit. But I'm laughing it down. And I'm doing that through my absurdist writing. So when I suggest in a piece a couple months ago that Stephen Miller is taking hostages, sorting them by ethnicity in order to uh, propagate a race of mega aligned stormtroopers. Kind of a joke, or not, but it's an absurdist tale that is sometimes distasteful. But if you engage with it and think that, you know what, 3 years ago, There's no way I could have ever imagined this happening. Today, missiles and boats, the potential of the CEO of the United States being under either a little or a shit ton of influence by Vladimir Putin. And now my fourth and final sign off on that note. I just one thing that's been out of the news for a few weeks now is the TikTok deal with Larry Ellison and Rupert Murdoch and the various other uh, uh, deeply flawed human beings that are supposed to be the rabbis for this process. China is going to do what China does. China is doing everything they can do, including the purges at the senior levels of the military, to prepare to fully annex, capture, or otherwise own the part of Taiwan that they don't. That's bad for Taiwanese people. It's really bad for, in a selfish way, for chip manufacturers. I mean, the people, Taiwan Semiconductor, yeah, we're building those fabs and foundries here in the U.S., but that takes time, and it's all in Taiwan right now. And just like China did with the rare earth minerals, do you think that if they slowed chip production by 50% at a time when the AI race is everything in our competition with with China? If they slowed that down 50%, that wouldn't damage the United States in a material way. It will. It would, and it probably will. So uh, again, peace to your family, and thank you for your indulgence. Um, and I will catch up with you, nice people, sometime later into the holiday weekend. Thank you, and have a beautiful evening.